Is it recording?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Shelby Yeager, and today I will be discussing what a capnograph is and what it does and how to maintain it. So we do not have a capnograph in our facility, so what I've done is I have created a PowerPoint and I will be discussing it. So let's go ahead and get started. So we have our PowerPoint, Capnograph by Shelby Yeager. So the first thing we need to understand is, what is capnography? Capnography is the measurement of CO2 in an exhaled breath from an anesthetized patient. It has been used in veterinary medicine since the 1990s. The results of the CO2 are then displayed on a device called a capnograph. This device displays the results of capnography into a screen in continual waveforms and numbers. So here is an example right here of one. There's many different types. We are only going to be going over one type of capnograph. How does capnograph read CO2? So it reads it by infrared absorption, which is the most common technique used to measure CO2. The capnograph releases a light that passes through the measuring chamber. The CO2 molecules absorb the light proportionally to the CO2 concentration of the exhaled breath. A photoreceptor is on the opposite side of the light source, which measures the amount of light reaching it through the CO2 molecules. There are two different types of capnographs. There's a mainstream and side stream, but we will be discussing mainstream today. So the mainstream capnograph reads directly from the breathing system. It is a small device that is placed between the endotracheal tube and the breathing circuit. The yellow piece that you see in these photos attached to the endotracheal tube and breathing circuit is the mainstream capnograph. As a patient exhales, it is actively measuring the CO2 and displaying the result onto the screen. So you can see right here in these example photos that I have, this yellow piece is what's reading the CO2, and then it is going through and being displayed onto the screens. So one of the things that's most basic is you need to know the normal readings. So a capnograph results are displayed as a number and a graph. The number is the partial pressure of CO2 measured at the end of an exhale, which is called the end tidal CO2, or EtCO2. The normal reading of EtCO2 for canines is 35 to 45 millimeters per mercury. The normal reading of EtCO2 for felines is 28 to 32 millimeters per mercury. The graph that is displayed represents the changes in rate tidal volume as a waveform. So this picture right here is just an example of what a waveform looks like, but we are going to go into it a little bit more detail. So right here, this is what the number digital display would look like. So EtCO2 millimeters per mercury. The reading for this one is 38. And then here is an example of a normal capnogram. So if you look right here, you have your guide for waveform characteristics. So you have your baseline, which will be AB right here. Then you have your expiratory upstroke. So that would be B and C coming up. Then C and D would be expiratory plateau right here. And then D would be end tidal concentration. So D right here on the graph is what the reading for EtCO2 is. And then you have DE, which would be inspiration. So this is an example of a normal capnograph reading in real time. So how to maintain a mainstream capnograph? Well, it depends on the type of capnograph that you have. Some mainstream capnographs have a detachable single-use airway adapter. Others have to be sterilized or disinfected with either isopropyl alcohol or any other disinfectant with the proper contact time of 10 minutes. And then here is my works cited page. But in overall, that is the basic function and use and readings and understanding of what a capnograph is. I will be attaching this PowerPoint as well. And that is what a capnograph is. Awesome.